We're taking you into the news right now with the Fox 45 news feed. It's 11 a.m. A tentative deal to avoid a transit shutdown is reached, what it means for Baltimore workers. And as many in West Baltimore say they're still too scared to drink the tap water, a special hearing is set to begin on last week's E. coli contamination, the questions that still need to be answered. And attorneys for City State's Attorney Marilyn Mosby will be in court today, but it won't be for the start of her trial. Why a judge is delaying it for a second time. Fox 45 News Midday starts right now.
Live from WBFF in Baltimore, this is Fox 45 News Midday.
Thanks so much for joining us for Fox 45 News Midday. I'm Shannon Lilly. Happening in just 2 hours, a special hearing to investigate last week's E. coli contamination in West Baltimore. City Council will press DPW for answers as to how it happened and how they responded. Ahead of the hearing, there are residents who say they still don't trust the water coming from their faucet, despite the mayor saying last Friday new tests show the water was safe.
I would like for the mayor to drink this water. And if he he can come over and have a glass of water with me.
Yeah, that's Denise Knight that we first introduced you to earlier this week. Fox 45 News reached out to several Maryland Department of Environment approved water testing laboratories to test Knight's water. That will happen today. Ned Van Allen, an EPA certified water sampler and certified water specialist, is detailing how the sample will be taken. Take a listen.
We'll go in, turn on the faucet, right? I'm going to test for chlorine to see if we have chlorine running through the house, right? Because I always start there. Then we'll take the sample bottle. I'll put gloves on. We'll grab the sample. I'll seal it, put it on ice, and take it directly to the lab.
Well, our news team will be at Knight's house when the samples are taken, and of course, we'll follow up with the results. In the meantime, City Council's investigation hearing with DPW begins at 1 p.m. today. Developing now, news about a tentative agreement between labor unions and railway workers to avoid a massive rail strike. As Olivia Dance shows us, the strike could have impacted travel right here in Baltimore.
According to an AP report we got this morning, President Biden says a tentative railway labor agreement has been reached, and this averts the strike that would have impacted so many commuters. Now, if the strike happened this Friday, Marks, Camden, and Brunswick lines in Baltimore would have immediately stopped service until a resolution was reached. Commuters who use those lines to get to Washington, D.C. and other parts of Maryland would have been greatly impacted. So this is great news for them.
I'm feeling a lot more relieved because, like I said, it's going to, help me not have to worry about rebudgeting and structuring my expenses and limiting the amount of time that I have to, spend restructuring my whole day. I have a certain time that I get up, go catch the train, and it's predictable versus having to say, like, okay, what time do I need to catch an Uber?
And for some background, earlier this week, the Maryland Transit Authority alerted passengers that an ongoing labor dispute between CSX Transportation and its unions could result in the strike. We recently received a statement from the Association of American Railroads, which in part says, quote, these new contracts provide rail employees a 24% wage increase during the 5-year period from 2020 through 2024, including an immediate payout on average of $11,000 upon ratification. End quote. But as so many commuters rely on the train as their only means of transportation to work or just to beat all that Maryland traffic. So again, this is a huge relief for them. For now, reporting in Baltimore, I'm Olivia Dance, Fox 45 Midday.
Certainly good news. Thanks, Olivia. Another delay in City State's Attorney Marilyn Mosby's federal trial. Jury selection will not begin as planned today after a judge granted prosecutors' request for a delay. The delay stems from disagreements between the defense and prosecutors over an expert witness. Mosby's team added the witness to the list after the deadline, prompting prosecutors to say they needed more time to find their own witness. The judge delayed the trial Wednesday but did not offer a new trial date. Defense attorney A. Scott Bolden is furious, saying Marilyn Mosby has been living with this indictment long enough.
I've talked about the business before, and the government has amnesia about it now. So in the interest of justice, Her Honor indicated that there were going to be a continuance. There was going to be a continuance. We vehemently opposed it. We're ready to go. And lastly, let's not forget my client is innocent as she stands here.
Well, the trial was originally scheduled for April, but earlier this spring, the defense asked for a delay of their own. Mackenzie Frost will be back in court today and when the trial officially begins. We will have the latest developments live on air and online at foxbaltimore.com. Well, here's our look at today's top trending stories. Trending number one, more than 20 years after Adnan Syed was convicted of murder, the very office that prosecuted him wants that conviction now thrown out. In 2020, Adnan Syed was found guilty of strangling his girlfriend, Heyman Lee. But in a motion filed just yesterday, the state's attorney's office asserts new evidence, including 2 alternative suspects. They're asking that Syed be released as the investigation continues. Trending number 2, illegal street racing. Mayor Brandon Scott is expected to sign a bill by the end of this month on street racing. The bill calls for a $1,000 fine and up to a year in prison if convicted. Trending number 3, Baltimore City Rec and Park leaders have scrapped plans for a long-awaited West Baltimore skate park. Community activist Doc Cheatham was among those behind the Easterwood Park design. He says the project came about after he noticed children in his area traveling long distances to other skate parks miles away. But now, instead of giving kids a new place to skate, Rec and Parks decided to make improvements to the current park. Download the FOX45 News app for up-to-the-minute traffic conditions, breaking news and weather anytime. Just search WBFF in your app store. Well, still ahead, as kids head back to school, a new survey is looking at test taking and how it impacts students' mental health. But first, a light at the end of a 3-year tunnel. Why now? The World Health Organization says we may be nearing the end of the pandemic. But first, it's a case that is shocking people online. A rape victim ordered to pay her alleged attacker's family $150,000. Why the judge says he had no choice.
We're looking at a gorgeous afternoon. We're staying in between that pleasant and comfortable range. Tomorrow will be pleasant. Then over the weekend, we heat up and it also gets stickier. I'll let you know how hot it gets coming up in my full forecast.
Fox 45 News, winner of 17 2022 Regional Emmy Awards, more than all other Baltimore news stations combined.
A final journey for Queen Elizabeth II. You're looking at the moment she left Buckingham Palace for the final time. Mourners coming from near and far as the carriage made its way to Westminster Hall. Hundreds of thousands of mourners are expected to file past the late Queen's coffin over the next 4 days as she lies in state. Some lining up earlier this week, waiting more than 24 hours for their chance to pay respects to the Queen one final time.
I haven't had any sleep whatsoever. Happy to be able to show my last respects to the Queen.
I thought this is, this is priceless, an experience of a lifetime. I would not miss this for the world.
Well, the Queen will be buried on Monday. President Biden and the First Lady will be in attendance. Taking a look at your social stream now, lots of reaction online to this story. An Iowa teenager who was the victim of human trafficking is being ordered to pay the family of her accused rapist $150,000 after she stabbed him to death while he was sleeping. 17-year-old Piper Lewis pleaded guilty last year to involuntary manslaughter and willful injury for the June 2020 killing of 37-year-old Zachary Brooks. She faced 20 years behind bars, but this week a judge deferred the prison sentence but ordered her pay his family restitution. In his order, the judge wrote, "This court is presented with no other option," adding restitution is mandatory under Iowa law. So a lot of people upset about this and surprised by this. We have this user saying that's a strange provision of law. I get the 5-year probation given the situation and ambiguity over whether he was asleep, but the $150,000 mandatory restitution seems absurdly broad and unfair. There should be a provision allowing juries to decide if that is fair given the case. And Brendan here tweeting, if that family had any sense, they would refuse that in court. Even if this is a better outcome than initially charged, why is she responsible for defending herself? He brings up a good point. Disgraced R&B singer R. Kelly is found guilty at his child pornography trial in Chicago. He was convicted of 3 counts of child pornography and 3 counts of enticement of a minor. The singer was discovered to have made videotapes of himself sexually abusing his then 14-year-old goddaughter decades ago. The verdict is the second criminal conviction for the singer in the past year. In June, he was sentenced to 30 years in federal prison. Jason here says if they had stopped him decades ago when his video leaked, a lot of girls could have been saved from unnecessary trauma. It feels like more people should also be on trial for their negligence. And then we have this Twitter user that says, wow, fallen so far so fast. Such a shame that people act in this manner. The World Health Organization says the end of the pandemic is in sight. The WHO's Director General cautioned there is still a risk of more variants, deaths, disruption, and uncertainty. But he said the world is in its best position to date to end the pandemic. He also noted that COVID deaths last week were the lowest they've been since the pandemic began in March of 2020. Would definitely seem like good news. Taran here, though, says, how are 478 deaths a good day? And then we have this user saying, flatten that curve in 2 weeks, just like they said. Well, it hasn't even been a month since Serena Williams retired from tennis. Why many think she's about to pull a Tom Brady and return to the game. But first, Google and Facebook are being hit with millions in fines, how the companies are accused of selling your private information. And coming up at noon, it's Storage Wars, followed by Comics Unleashed. Then at 1, it's Sherry, followed by Hot Bench at 2. It is 11:14. You're watching Fox 45 News, Midday. The official portrait of the late Maryland Congressman Elijah Cummings has been unveiled on Capitol Hill. The painting is in the House Committee on Oversight and Reform's hearing room. He chaired that committee. Cummings represented the Baltimore area for more than 20 years. He died in 2019 at the age of 68. He was a civil rights advocate known for reaching across the aisle.
He was so astute, so smart, so wise, so strategic, and the rest. And that's why he made such a big difference. He was a leader of towering integrity. Everybody knows that. A man whose life embodied the American dream.
I am so proud of my husband. I am so proud of everything that he became. But I am especially proud of the fact that he put country above party. He put country above everything.
Wow, and Cummings was the first black lawmaker to lie in state at the U.S. Capitol. Making headlines. The parent companies of Google and Facebook are being hit with more than $70 million in fines by South Korean regulators. It's all over alleged digital privacy violations. Regulators accuse the companies of collecting and using personal information without users' consent for advertising and other purposes. Both Facebook and Google deny the allegations. Amazon is raising pay and benefits for its delivery partners. The company started the Delivery Service Partners Network 4 years ago to encourage entrepreneurs to start their own fleet of drivers. Other benefits include more than $5,000 a year for drivers to pay for educational programs and support for a 401k investment plan for drivers. The announcement comes as Amazon starts hiring for the holiday season. It is that time. Well, you can get Fox 45 News in a flash through your Amazon Alexa or Echo. We now deliver your local headlines and your forecast in less than 2 minutes. If you have an Amazon device, just tell it to enable Fox 45 Baltimore. Well, after more than 20 years in jail, Adnan Syed, his conviction is now being questioned, looking into why it's happening now and if it has something to do with another high-profile case. A city hearing on the recent water crisis, leaders pressing the Department of Public Works on if the situation was handled properly. And enrollment in Catholic schools is through the roof, finding out why more families are moving away from Baltimore schools. Trending today, Tom Brady is suggesting he may retire again. You'll recall the 45-year-old quarterback retired after the 2021 season, only to reverse that decision just 6 weeks later. But this time, it really could be for real. Speaking on his Let's Go podcast, Brady said he's got more responsibilities now with kids who are growing up. And many are asking if Serena Williams is about to pull a Tom Brady and come out of retirement. When asked about a return to the court, the 23-time Grand Slam champion replied, "You never know," before adding, "Tom Brady started a really cool trend." And while Serena is now hinting at a possible return, Roger Federer is announcing his own retirement from tennis. He says his farewell event will be the Laver Cup in London next week. So Mark Clark with Be More Lifestyle is here now. Oh my gosh, so they're kind of hinting at this, Mark. I mean, with Serena Williams, I know that so many people would be excited if she did come back, but I kind of think she deserves a break. Her and Federer, I mean, they have been playing for decades. They've done tremendously. I mean, what do you think about this?
First of all, I thought Kevin Federer did retire. I didn't know what was going on. Like, right? I mean, have we seen him? I don't know. Anyway.
Yeah, no, it's just been announced. So it's like one after the other, you know?
I think it's so hard. The money and the fame is so powerful now. You know what I mean?
True.
It's easy to retire when you're talking about a couple $1 million, but when you're talking about millions of dollars in influence, I really think, in addition to the love of the game, which everybody says love of the game, I think the love of the spotlight, because when you think about it, the people we're talking about, their brands are so powerful. It still demands, when you're playing, as long as you're playing, you still demand, you know, those dollars. I think it's a real thing.
You're used to a certain lifestyle.
Yeah.
And then the other thing is that you've lived this your whole life. That's all you've known. But, you know, in that interview, Serena Williams was talking about all the other things that she hasn't kind of been able to do because of her passion for tennis, and this is her opportunity to go and do those things. So I do think, good for her for exploring other things and kind of taking a break. But we'll see. We'll see how long that sticks.
Now, you don't have any plans to try soon, right, or anything? Okay.
I mean, hey, can I just, 1 week be in, 1 week be out, go on a little vacation, come back?
I'm not retired.
I wish it worked that way.
I got babies to put through college. I'm on another 30 years.
Right.
See you tomorrow.
Yep. See you tomorrow, Mark. All right, thanks. Hey, speaking of tennis, great weather for it this morning, but will it stay this way for your weekend? For a closer look, let's now go to meteorologist Jasmine Lomax. Jasmine.
We were off to a cool start this morning. We started with temperatures in the 50s and the 60s, but we're looking at a nice warm up as we head into the afternoon, and it should really be a nice and pleasant day. Temperatures will reach the upper 70s, low 80s, making for a gorgeous afternoon. Then as we head into the weekend, we're talking the return of summer-like heat. It's going to feel hot again. After that, we continue the dry pattern, so not a bad forecast. And if you do like those summer-like temperatures, then you are in for a treat as we head into next week. Notice we stay mostly sunny around lunchtime, then heading into the afternoon, still looking at plenty of sunshine. So again, great for spending some time outside. It's going to be comfortable. We're not seeing high humidity. Then making our way into Friday, a similar story. We start with lots of sunshine. We keep the sunny skies as we head into the afternoon, and temperatures rise to the upper 70s and the low 80s. It'll be a great start to the weekend, and then we've got the heat returning as we head into Saturday. As we make our way into the afternoon, temperatures gradually rise to the upper 70s and the low 80s, and those numbers start to fall as we head into the evening. We're looking at lows in the 50s and 60s once again. Then expect plenty of sunshine on Friday. High temperature is around 82. We're back to the mid-80s and above average temperatures on Saturday, but still we're looking at lots of sunshine. Then on Sunday for the Ravens home opener, temperature is around 89. Make sure that you are preparing for the heat and staying hydrated. We're at 90 on Monday, so a hot day. And then after that, our temperatures gradually start to drop as we get closer to fall. Temperatures, though, still above average in the mid to upper 80s.
All right, thanks, Jasmine. Still ahead, extreme weather is having a devastating impact on U.S. infrastructure. What a new study found about weather and power outages. And how the Queen's death is impacting Americans' TV habits. It's 11:23. You're watching Fox 45 News, Midday. Don't miss this. Netflix is reporting views of The Crown have surged following the death of Queen Elizabeth. The company says viewership of season 1 of the award-winning series has skyrocketed, pushing it into the company's top 10 streamed shows. The show's producers have paused production on the show's 6th season and final season as a sign of respect. A new study finds extreme weather events are behind a spike in power outages over more than 2 decades. The analysis found that from 2000 to 2021, 83% of all reported power outages were caused by a weather-related event. The analysis was by Climate Central, a nonprofit research group. Time now for your lunch break. More and more people are having lunch in an office break room as remote work comes to an end and people are returning to the office. And as more workers head back to the office, business at coffee shops is bouncing back and is nearly pre-pandemic levels. Reuters says sales by branded coffee shops in the U.S. increased 10% in the year ending this June. Gotta have your coffee. Well, that's all the time we have for Fox 45 News Midday. Be More Lifestyle is up next, and Mark Clark is back to tell us what they're working on. Hey, Mark.
Hey, surprise. Nick Cannon is on cloud 9 after welcoming a surprise baby number 9 into his life. Good gracious. We'll talk about that coming up on Be More Lifestyle. Stick around.